काट लूँ और ये स्टार्ट स्ट्रीम बस। Myself Amit, and let us begin the Hindu analysis for 11th of September 2020. So let us begin our day with a beautiful thought in our first section, which is this: the key to success, friends, is on the focus on goals, not on obstacle. We always focus that this is our goal post, right? We always are running with our goal, the football we are carrying, and we only see the obstacles in between. We are not watching the gaps which could lead us to our goal post. So the thing is, we have to remove the sight of obstacles and we have to only focus on our goals. There are players like Adam Gilchrist. You might have heard about Adam Gilchrist. They were players who say that we were not able to see the fielders in the cricket field. Okay, he was a great cricketer from Australia. So he used to say that I was not able to see the fielders. I only used to see the gaps only, so that boundaries could be cleared for me. So this is the attitude which makes you a winner, which gives you a success. So do not go behind the obstacles, go for your goals, focus on the ways, the gaps which can lead you to your goals, right? So focus on your energy should be concentrated not on obstacles but on the goals. This way you will definitely succeed. I hope this is very much clear to you, and please set your priorities then. Please set your priorities then, because setting up priorities by focusing on your goal is very much important. This guides you to the proper way. Otherwise, if you are focusing on the obstacle, this leads to distraction, this leads to fear, this leads to incapability. So focus on the goal and skill yourself, improve yourself to make yourself capable to achieve this goal. Okay, so let us begin. Let us move to other section of this analysis, which is about significance of the date. So a very great significance is the terrorist attack. So you might remember the terrorist attack that took place in 2001, and it was done by Al-Qaeda, a very great terrorist organization, and in one way it was one of the deadliest attack on human history. Okay, a deadliest terrorist attack in human history. It was on 11th of September when the these twin World Trade Centers, they were around 110 story buildings, and two hijacked planes by the Al-Qaeda terrorists, they collapsed into, or they collided with this building, and this attack led to demolition of the World Trade Center twin towers. There were 4 planes, friend. Two were taken to this building, and one was taken to this Pentagon, the US security center, and one was leading to Washington, but it was a failure, and this reached the Pentagon, but here the destruction was quite small. But here around 373 people, around 400 people died. So in one manner, if you see this terrorist attack, you will find that such a great attack, such a deadliest attack was there from the terrorists, right? While if I change my angle of viewing, if I just change my angle, and I'm sorry for this angle of viewing, but I say that they have set such a remark, such a base, so that now if any terrorist attack is there, they have to come above it. So in this manner, you can learn from this this attack that whatever you do should be remarkable, should be remembered in history. Okay, though I'm sorry for this kind of view, what you are seeing from this angle, but they have set such a reference that future terrorists have to do something bigger to get remembered in history. Okay, so coming to this next thing, which is about it is the birth anniversary of Vinoba Bhave. Okay, birth anniversary of Vinoba Bhave, a very great Indian freedom fighter. You might know his name, Vinoba Bhave. Okay, he translated Gita. He was very much spiritual, and he translated Gita in Marathi language. Translated Gita in Marathi language. Okay, and a very great freedom fighter who is also considered as spiritual successor of Mahatma Gandhi. He is called as spiritual successor of Mahatma Gandhi, while the political successor is Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru. Although earlier C. Rajagopalachari was considered as successor, though that is a part of history. Okay. And Mr. Vinoba Bhave is also considered as National Teacher of India. He was given this Bharat Ratna in 1983 for his services to the nation, and he was a supporter of human rights and non-violence. He was a supporter of human rights and non-violence. And one great achievement of his was this Bhudan movement. So you might know about the land reforms that took place just after the independence. So Mr. Vinoba Bhave started this Bhudan movement, in which he asked the people in Telangana to donate 1/6 of their land, to consider him as the sixth son of theirs and give him 1/6 of the land, so that the land that is collected under this movement could be distributed to the tenants and landless laborers. Okay, you all might know that Jamindari system was quite popular in India in those days, and Jamindars had very large plots of land, very large areas of land. So this land reform movement was targeted at kind of distribution of land, proper distribution, not concentration of land. Okay, so I think that's enough for the significance of the date today, and let us move forward then and see what topics we are going to consider today. So Jaishankar and Wang Yi meeting, this is about the Indian foreign minister and his counterpart from China. Then rules for cigarette butt decided by this NGT, okay, yet to be formed. Then Jalyukt Shiva scheme. Then agriculture as a torch bearer for growth of Indian economy. An analysis has been provided in an editorial section. Then US forces are withdrawing from the Iraq. Then Golden Temple given this FCRA, okay. Then cases against MP, pending cases against MP for last 30 to 40 years. The cases are pending, the criminal cases. Then logistics agreement of India with Japan. So let us begin with our first topic of the day, friends, which is this Mr. Jaishankar and Wang holds meeting. So on the sidelines of this SCO, I have explained about this Shanghai Cooperation Organization. It is an 8-member country organization. Now, okay. Now India and Pakistan are also its members. So on the sidelines of this SCO and RIC is Russia, India, China trilateral meet. So on the sidelines of these two summits, these two foreign ministers, both of India and China, they held a meeting. So the results are, the minutes of the meeting are yet to be publicized. But this meeting was held to improve the cooperation and to improve the level of cooperation and talks, so that the tensions on LAC, which has been there for last 4 months, along with the violent clashes and gunfire since first time since 1975, to ease down these tensions, such meetings are being held between the commanders at the ground level, okay, on the brigadiers and commanders on LAC, and this meeting with the Chinese counterpart by our foreign minister. So this was done to resolve this difficult situation, but the problem is still there, and the peace negotiations are not yet fruitful, even on those LAC border. Okay, the China has, I've told you yesterday about this Pangong Tso Lake. The China has been dominating this northern region, while India has been dominating this southern region. So now the best thing is that India is having a leverage now. Okay, because India can go for this, they can go for an agreement, they can go for the talks. Otherwise, if India was not dominating this position, then India would have been on the back seat. We didn't had anything to talk about. So now we are having something so that we can ask China to make a compromise. Okay. So China is still holding and occupying the ridges in finger area in this northern part, while India is holding this blacktop region. And India has also trying to maintain the cordial relation, okay, with other members of SCO, and the bilateral meetings were held with the Central Asian ministers by our foreign minister. So this meeting was actually SCO foreign ministers meeting. Earlier on 6th and 7th of September, there was this meeting of SCO defense ministers, right? Defense ministers meeting. When our defense minister, Mr. Rajnath Singh, went to Russia, Moscow. And this was SCO foreign ministers meeting held in Moscow. So on the sidelines of this, bilateral meetings were held by our foreign minister with the foreign ministers of Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan. Okay, Turkmenistan is not the member of SCO. Remember, Turkmenistan, from the 5 Central Asian countries, you might know their names. Do remember their capitals, and if possible, in comment section, do mention the 5 countries and their capitals, right? And let me tell you, Turkmenistan is not the part of this SCO. Okay, while India and Pakistan are. And I told you that Iran is having an observer status. So I think that's it for this topic. So the foreign minister emphasized that India's unilateral. Okay, so the thing is that Pakistan has also claimed that India has been taking unilateral action disturbing the peace in region. खुद से अपना देश संभल नहीं रहा है, दूसरों के काम में टांग अड़ाने की बहुत आदत. So let Pakistan be Pakistan. So coming to the next topic, friends, which is about framing rules for disposal of cigarette butts, National Green Tribunal. So actually a recent plea was filed by this NGO, Doctors for You, and this plea was regarding this disposal of cigarette and bidi butts and prohibiting and consumption of tobacco in public places. So there was recently a report which was given by some organization, this Indian Institute of Toxicology Research. And this report found that the butts of cigarette which are thrown, they contain cellulose acetate, which is a 95%, a major constituent of these cigarette butts, along with that paper and rayon. Okay. So in general, the data for toxic, the natural and laboratory butts persist for a longer duration, which is not a good thing. And Control of Pollution Act 1970, the steps, actions of Ministry of Environment to do the field formations. Okay, research and technical studies are being done, and such advices are provided to this MOEF and SPCBs. So it also coordinates the efforts of SPCB, the State Pollution Control Boards. Okay. Then about NGT. So NGT is a statutory tribunal which is formed after this 2010 NGT Act, National Green Tribunal Act, and it is a tribunal which is made for effective and expeditious disposal of cases relating to environmental protection frame. So it can take suo motu actions also, and conservation of forest and other natural resources. Okay, so you might have heard news that rights equivalent to human have been accorded to this rivers. So in such cases, the NGT can take action. Okay, on behalf of rivers. So then I think that's enough for this topic. Moving ahead towards our next topic, friend. And the next topic, friends, is related to a scheme which is Jal Yukt Shivar scheme. So in this scheme, actually it is an old scheme, and recent CAG report has been published regarding this scheme. So my motto here is to tell you an example of failure of a scheme, right? Example of failure of a scheme. So in exam you can quote that despite being very good schemes on paper, the schemes fail in implementation. They are very good scheme. Like this scheme, it led the budget of, led to expenditure of sum of rupees 9,600.75 crores, but it did nothing, a very little impact. As per this CAG report, this Jal Yukt Shivar scheme was started by the previous Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Mr. Devendra Fadnavis. Okay, and he started the scheme for the purpose of dealing the drought issue. The drought issue, you might have heard about the drought problem of Maharashtra, especially with the eastern Maharashtra sector. Okay, the Vidarbha region. You know the Vidarbha region? This Vidarbha region is located on this eastern side of Maharashtra. Okay, so if this is Maharashtra, this is Maharashtra, and this eastern region is Vidarbha region, having boundary with Telangana, Andhra Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh. Okay, so this Vidarbha region is quite drought prone area, and to deal with the problem of drought in this area, this scheme was started. And now the project has been scrapped by the recent government under Uddhav Thackeray. So the CAG report says that this scheme was rolled out by the last government, has done nothing, had very little impact on achieving the water neutrality and increasing the groundwater level. And the problem with this scheme has been this transparency and effective implementation. Transparency is not being there in the scheme, where these 9,600 crore, you see, 9,600 crore, this much amount of money has been spent. Where? Then effective implementation has not been there. So the government and the previous Chief Minister Mr. Fadnavis should be held accountable, should answer these questions. Okay, the project, see what was proposed under the project. It would involve the deepening and widening of streams, construction of cement and earthen stop dams, undertaking the work on nalas and digging of farm ponds. So such great ideas were included in the scheme, but still nothing has been done on the ground, and thus the problem of drought is still there. The problem of drought and water scarcity in Maharashtra, in cities like Latur, is still very much prominent, and they are yet to be resolved. So this was an example, friend. If you want to quote some examples in your mains answer writing, that schemes are there but they are not better implemented, is the reason of their failure. This Jal Yukt Shivar scheme could be an example. Then moving ahead to our next topic, friends. The next topic is actually related to the agriculture-led revolution. Okay, revival. So this revival is, in recent time you might have heard that Indian economy, a recent CRISIL report, which is a rating agency in India, has said that Indian economy in this financial year 21 might contract by 9%. Till now we had that 4.5% figure, but now the figure has been improved to minus 9%, and there will be lot of contraction in manufacturing and services sector. So agriculture seems the only torch bearer to many in present times. But the author here, Mr. R. Ramkumar, he pointed out the four arguments on the basis of this torch bearer thing has been ruled. So what these four arguments, and then he has analyzed the four arguments on the basis of various factors, that how the agriculture, that this revival is a flawed claim. Okay, how this agriculture-led revival is a flawed claim. So if not analysis, please do remember these four arguments, because they can be important for writing in your answer. Okay. So the very first one is that food grain production in India has been increased by 3.7% in 2019-20 compared to 2018-19. Okay. So and is 12.6% higher than in 2019-20 in 2021. In the financial year 2021. We have seen that the Rabi wheat production has been, procurement, because in this scene of COVID-19, the northern states, they have focused on procurement. So that they can ensure adequate supply if the lockdown continues. So the procurement has been increased by 12.6% for the wheat. So this was the first argument, that the procurement increase means for the production increase means the compensation to farmers increase. So yes, agriculture is the torch bearer. The second argument is the food inflation is on rise, 9.2%. So when the other sectors are contracting with negative growth rate and they are facing deflation, the sustained demand in agriculture has led to inflation rates, which is going to provide better opportunities to farmers and better price for their products, right? The third argument which is there is the Kharif crop soaring. The production has been 14% higher than the last year for the Kharif crop. Okay, so since Kharif season is going on, it is from this June to September. So since the Kharif season is still going on, the monsoon is good, so it has increased the sale of this tractor and fertilizer. So this has improved the engine, this has let the engine running, or the wheels running, engines of economy running. So this has a sign of economic recovery, and agriculture is the driver. Then the fourth argument here is 20 lakh crore package that has been provided under Atmanirbhar Bharat package by the government of India will improve the agriculture position of agriculture further. Okay friends, these are the four arguments that has been utilized by the sayers who say that the agriculture-led revival will be there in financial year 2021. So what arguments have been given by against this system, or against these four arguments by Mr. Ram Kumar, is that he says that the first thing is that the procurement done by government is just 15%, 15 to 16% of the overall production. So this means that the large number of sale is outside this government system, that is to private players, to private traders, which means that the farmers of around 85%, these many farmers are selling it in private market and not getting the proper price because they are selling below MSP, right? So this will and the problem, another problem here is the market arrival, which shows that the market arrival of these crops like wheat has been lower than in last year, in 2019. So still that compensation, or that money that went to the farmers is quite less, as can be seen from this procurement thing. So it is not very much clear what amount has been given to farmers, okay, what they have. And on the other hand, if we go to additional sectors of this agriculture, the meat industry, the milk industry, etc., they have kind of collapsed. The meat industry has witnessed 25,000 crore contraction, okay, the loss. They have, this poultry industry has witnessed a loss of around 25,000 crore. You might have heard the news that meat has been sold at rupees 10 per kg during this pandemic, because people have avoided eating non-veg, because this coronavirus is a zoonotic virus, so it kind of spread like a misinformation. The second thing he says that the inflation rate which are estimated are on the basis of this consumer price indices, right? So we cannot say that such inflation would lead to better money for farmers, okay, it would not provide better money to farmers. Then the third thing he raises that so we say that sustained demand is there, the higher production is there, and agriculture is growing by 4%. But where the problem is that this agriculture is being done by those labor migrants who have returned to their villages, and this is kind of degradation, retrograded distress, okay. It is distress, not prosperity. The reason being that those who are employed in manufacturing sector are now going back to agriculture sector, while agriculture sector is having mere 15% contribution to gross value addition of Indian economy. See, it is only 15% of India's GVA. With only 4% growth rate, it can only likely to contribute 0.6% to GVA growth rate. So see, the overall scenario, overall analysis shows that what all has been pictured may not be true, because more people growing more food will be eating more, right? So there won't be better compensation, there won't be better per capita income from agriculture. So it is not going to change the scenario. It may not generate the demand it is required for sustaining the engines of economy, okay. And also rural expectations are high, but Atmanirbhar Bharat has not been provided them with enough, and the trickle down is quite less, right? Only 500 rupees have been given at many instances, and this will not improve the condition. Rupees 500 transaction 2 to 3 times is not going to improve the condition. Even the support under Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi is hardly sufficient. Okay, it is 6,000. It has been doubled from 6,000 to 12,000 this year, but still it is hardly sufficient to deal with this pandemic, because the crisis is kind of grave. And those farmers, because now the pandemic is spreading in the rural areas, the hinterlands also. So those who have been through this coronavirus, the cost of health suffered by them is quite large. So instead of getting relief from this money, they will be kind of under poverty. They have been pushed to poverty, especially in rural areas, because they don't have money, and the relief or the packages for this coronavirus cure, they are quite costly, right or not? Okay, so I think then we should move towards the next topic. That is enough for this one. So now USA, the President Donald Trump, he has promised his country that he will end the endless wars for the United States. And under his long-term policy, he has recently announced that the America has decided to withdraw troops from Iraq, under their long-term policy. This was also a plan of earlier President Mr. Barack Obama, but it is now finalized under US President. So it is a kind of both good news and bad news from the perspective of Iraq. The reason it is good news because for a long time people in Iraq, they have generated an opinion of anti-US opinion has been rising in Iraq. So it is a good news that this US forces, they are leaving. Okay, because in January recently General Qasim Soleimani was killed in Baghdad by America. So it also generated the hate and resentment against the US forces and US in overall picture in Iraq. So these Iraqi legislators, they passed a non-binding resolution after this killing of General Qasim Soleimani. After this assassination, they passed a non-binding resolution asking the government to oust the Americans, right? The new government under Prime Minister Mustafa Al-Khadimi, he is the present Prime Minister, he does not want US troops to enter in combat operation in Iraq because there is kind of anti-US sentiments in Iraq. So he wants to gain on those anti-US sentiments in Iraq so that he can garner the support of local people. Okay, garner the support of local people. But how it is bad? It is bad because if America leaves, America has decided to withdraw, to decrease its troops from 5,200 now to 3,000 in coming future. And how it is challenging? The challenging because US troops have played a key role, the very key role in ensuring security in Iraq. What security? Particularly they have resisted this ISIS. Okay, so because of the US troops being present in Iraq, the ISIS has been kind of now went underground in Iraq. These forces have been defeated, and if US leaves these underground forces, because as per US assessment, UN assessment, there are still 10,000 troops of ISIS underground in Iraq. So if US forces leave, this will create a vacuum which may be filled by these ISIS troops, right? And to deal with these troops, the Iraq government would have to use their own army or military equipments or overall things, right? They have to use their own capability to deal with these jihadists. So this is a kind of both a good thing for Iraq and a bad thing for Iraq. Okay, at the peak of this Iraq war, there were around 1.5 lakh troops of US in Iraq. Okay, but now they are leaving bit by bit, and the reason being the hostility by the locals against these troops of US. It has been seen that the locals have been attacking the US troops. Like there has been this hostile political environment due to influence of Shias from Iran. After the killing of Soleimani, this Iranian Shia militia, they attacked the American troops in Iraq. A military base in Iraq of this America was attacked, and around 100 American soldiers died. Right? So this drawdown would pose a future risk of security for this Western Asian region. Though the Americans are seeking the security of their own troops and are moving away, okay, or repositioning their troops, but for Western Asia, it could be a security threat. Because if the US is leaving, the gap created, either they should fill it or it would be filled by the jihadists. And there has been an example in history as well. When the US armies left during that 2011, when there was US withdrawal during Noor al-Maliki government, okay, so the Al-Qaeda set its foot in Iraq. So this is an example which shows that such vacuum could be filled by the jihadists. So US have to take proper action. They can train the local armies, they can create a group, and then they can leave. Such hasty withdrawals could lead to the creation of further problems. It's not that easy that you come suddenly a day and say that the problems are there, you attack us and sit in our country, and then you say that we are leaving now. From the Iraqian point of view, this is the thing, right? They have used the resources, the oil resources of Iraq, they have used other resources, set up military bases, and then they suddenly are ready to leave. Earlier they took over the entire thing from the army in Iraq, and now they are leaving entirely. Such sudden movements could create problems, right friends? So the thing is that they should go and teach or train those armies of Iraq, and could create a kind of cooperative system, so that gradual withdrawal could be there by handing over the responsibility to local armies and local government. Then only peace and security could be very much ensured in this Western Asian region. Otherwise, we all know what the region is suffering from for last around 50 to 60 years, right? So I think that's enough for this one. It is only for the government now that they should not allow the history to repeat itself, especially that vacuum fulfilled by jihadists. So the next topic is, friend, related to the Golden Temple gets the FCRA registration. In my last class, I told you about the NGO's FCRA registration has been under threat by this Home Ministry. Okay, so MHA gives this FCRA registration. Okay, it is about Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, which is to regulate the foreign contribution to any society registered under this Society Registration Act 1881. Okay, Society Registration Act is there. Society Registration Act is there, under which societies are registered, or NGOs are registered, or any associations are registered, and they are given this FCRA registration, under which they are allowed by this MHA, Ministry of Home Affairs, to receive the foreign funds. So recently this the Golden Temple, which is also known as this Gurudwara Harmandir Sahib, okay, so or Golden Temple, has been given this FCRA status or registration, and this is administered by this Gurudwara Harmandir Sahib in Punjab. It is one of the holiest site of Sikh, and it is administered by Shiromani Gurudwara Prabandhak Committee, SGPC, and controlled by Shiromani Akali Dal. If you have read in history, you might find that there was a movement in 1920s against those mahants, who were earlier administering these Gurudwaras, and this led to formation of these SGPCs, and Akali Dal had a crucial role to play in this movement, right? So now this foreign funds which is being provided to these Gurudwara committee, it can be utilized by this Gurudwara for providing financial assistance to poor, medical assistance, organizing langars, that is free community kitchens. Okay, so kind of good decision by the government. Moving on to this next topic, which is related to this cases against legislators. So Supreme Court recently took heed of this expeditiously to increase the pace of trial of 4,000 criminal cases which are pending on the matters of this money laundering, okay, and other crimes against the legislators across the country. So if you might have heard that around 43% of the MPs in Lok Sabha have, in the present Lok Sabha, they have criminal cases against them, while 24% MPs in Rajya Sabha have criminal cases against them. So this data shows that the criminalization of Indian politics is on rise. And if you draw a graph of selection of MPs with criminal background, it is keep on increasing. Earlier it was around 30%, and in last Lok Sabha in 2014, and now it is 43% in 2019 Lok Sabha. So the graph is kind of increasing. Okay, so the thing is that the Supreme Court wants that the special court should be set up, and the expeditious trial could be held, because a recent case has come to picture which is about from this Punjab, date back to 1983, and the charges were framed in this case are still pending and the case has been pending for last 36 years. And also, if you find the conviction rate in various corruption charges is around 3% in India. Against these legislators, the corruption conviction is only 3%, and we all know what amount of corruption is going on. So the thing is that judiciary has not been playing its proper role here, because they should do the expeditious trial, and also the investigating bodies, they should also play their important role. Okay, because a system works when every organ of it is functioning properly. So such cases pending should be taken with the special court so that they could be completed fast, because these legislators, they are setting examples for the general public. So judiciary should pay attention on these cases, right? So they should be treated with priority. They should be held their trial should be held in an expeditious manner, so that the proper judgment could be provided for, proper result could be provided for them. Then moving on to next topic, this is last one, friend. I think today's lecture has been quite long. So India has signed an agreement, a logistics agreement with Japan, and this would help both the armies, both the armed forces of both the countries to coordinate closely in supply and services, especially during the joint exercises, the bilateral training activities, the UN peacekeeping operations, and humanitarian relief missions. So it has been done on a mutually agreed basis, and this is going to improve the interoperability of the armed forces of India and Japan. It was signed by our Defense Secretary Mr. Ajay Kumar and the Ambassador of Japan Suzuki Satoshi, and our Prime Minister Mr. Modi talked on telephone, held a discussion with his counterpart Shinzo Abe in Japan. Okay, so also this is going to improve the naval capability of both the navies, because this would lead to provide or share the mutual benefits of naval or maritime facilities by both the navies. So it is going to improve their capabilities to secure the Indo-Pacific region. Okay, this Indo-Pacific region, especially given when the hegemon like China is sitting here. So both Japan and India can work together for improving their capabilities and cooperating in a well manner, so that Indo-Pacific peace and security could be ensured. And with this, I would like to thank you, friend, and I hope I have contributed well to your knowledge. Have a nice day.